What's up, all my movie-loving maniacs? This your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor, and I'm back reviewing one Superman movie a month, leading up to James Gunn's Superman movie that comes out in July. This month, I rewatched Superman 2, so let's review. Hey, that rhymed. So Superman 2 is the sequel to Superman 78, and this movie came out in 1980, but according to the internet, it was released in the United States in 1981, so release date, mix up, I don't know, y'all tell me. But in any case, Jin Razad and his two partners, they get released from the Phantom Zone, they come to Earth looking to conquer it, but now that Superman has something to say about it. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, the romance between Clark Kent and Lois Lane begins to blossom into something big until she eventually finds out that Superman is Clark Kent, and, well, you've seen the movie. Now, Superman 2, along with Superman 78, I remember watching both of those films for the first time back during COVID, but I have not gone back to watch any of the other movies after that. Well, of course, I've seen Man of Steel, but Superman 2 is the last Christopher Reeve Superman movie that I have seen. And I generally don't remember my thoughts about how I felt about this movie, but I still enjoyed them. In fact, I enjoyed both of them equally. In fact, if I'm being honest, I struggle to figure out which one I like more, the first movie or this movie, and that's how I feel with this movie now. And I should also be clear, I have not seen the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. I am just going off of the theatrical release that was released back in 1988 and can currently be seen on HBO Max. Though I've heard from a lot of people that the Donner cut is a lot better than the theatrical cut, and I'll take your word on it, but ultimately I'll be the judge of that if and whenever I get around to watching the Donner cut. But the general consensus is this was basically the Snyder cut before Zack Snyder even happened. But as for Superman 2, I always thought that the first Superman was basically the perfect blueprint for other superhero movies going forward at the time. And I think that's how I also feel about Superman 2, is it's also the perfect blueprint to how to do a superhero sequel. I'm seeing some parallels between these two movies and Sam Raimi's first two Spider-Man movies, in which in this movie they begin to develop the relationship between Clark Kent and Lois, similar to how they developed the relationship between Peter Parker and Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2. Now, of course, Christopher Reeve, he's good as Superman in this movie, and he's given significantly more to do in this movie that is kind of expanded on in the first movie. The heart of Superman 2 is basically Superman slash Clark Kent in Lois Lane, played once again by Margaret Kidder, in which she is, first off, let me just say, Lois Lane, she is definitely a psycho. Like, she is so sure that Superman is Clark Kent that she is willing to almost kill herself just to reveal that Superman is Clark Kent. And she does figure it out eventually, and then Superman, he's all fine with it. He thinks things are better now. Even to the point where he's willing to give up his powers just to be with Lois Lane, which he does for a little while, then eventually he gets them back. That is one thing I have negatively towards this movie, is that he just abruptly gets his powers back. But then again, I'm not in the Superman lore like that. But you see why I'm saying the parallels between this movie and Spider-Man 2, because in Spider-Man he lost his powers for a bit and then he got them back, and then same thing happened here. And I should also be clear that I did look up some of the behind-the-scenes drama behind this movie, because originally Superman and Superman 2 were supposed to be shot back-to-back, and this was basically supposed to set up, well, the first one was supposed to set up this movie in many ways. They didn't want Richard Donner to come back to direct this movie because he had issues with some of the producers on this movie, so they wanted a completely different director with a completely different way of doing things, hence why most people prefer the Donner cut over this cut of the movie. And because of all the behind the scenes drama, hence why this movie may feel uneven to some people at times. But of course, the biggest reason why this movie always stood out to me was Jin Razad and his two partners. I'm blanking on their names, but let's be real, this is definitely the General Zod show, played once again by Terrence Stamp after he briefly played him at the beginning of the first movie. At the beginning he was like, "You will bow down before me, both you and then one day your ass." And come on now, that's exactly what he said. But nonetheless, he brings that same energy to this movie. Like, I'm sorry, I've always liked Terrence Stamp in this movie. And all due respect to Michael Shannon and Man of Steel for his portrayal of Jin Razad, but to me, it's like, in this movie, Terrence Stamp, he knew exactly what kind of movie he was making. Like everybody was like here, and Terrence Stamp, he was just all the way over here. He knew exactly what kind of movie he was making. He's just overacting. He is just chewing up scenery, and I am here for it. I am loving it. "Come to me, son of Jor-El, kneel before Zod." Another weak point in this movie for me is Lex Luthor. I mean, he basically plays second fiddle to General Zod. I mean, I never really cared for Gene Hackman's. Well, Gene Hackman, for what it's worth, it was a good performance, but to me, it's just not Lex Luthor. I didn't really like him in the first movie, and don't really appreciate him much here. And then how they just get out of jail with the help of Miss Toshmaker, who helped Superman at the end of the first movie, and now all of a sudden she's back on this side. Like, I will give glory to some of the effects in this movie. I don't know why, I'm just fascinated with the scene of how General Zod and his partners, they get out of the Phantom Zone, how visually that looks, even for 1980 standards. Though the scene where he gets saran wrap out of out of Superman's S, and I'm like, what? This movie has powers that are just not even in the comics, or just unexplained. And of course, the kiss that makes Lois Lane lose her memory of everything that happened in the movie. I'm like, huh? Like I said, I go back and forth to which Superman movie I like more, the first movie or the second movie, but both movies really have their give and take. And I think this one is just more of a fun movie, even though it does have some uneven moments that kind of make this movie like a mixed bag. But this is still a good Superman movie at the end of the day. And that's why I'm going to give Superman 2 a very solid hard eyes emoji. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have you seen Superman 2? I mean, you probably have, but if so, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And let me know which one you like more, Superman the first movie or Superman 2. This your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll be back next month with my review of Superman 3. Peace.